All right, let's do this. How's everyone doing today? Good? Are you doing good? You're not doing so good? Well, I promise it's going to get better. It always gets better. You just got to keep pushing through, all right? On this week's episode of our podcast, Is Breakfast Included? I talk with my good friend, Robin Arthur. Robin is a painter based in Paonia, Colorado. Paonia. I'd never heard of it either, but she told me all about it, how they got their name, how they had to drop a vowel from the name for some odd reason. It's a small community of about 1,500 people. It's kind of a mix of coal miners and farmers and hippies, and they all coexist. And she makes it sound like utopia. And I'm sure it is. Just, don't be bringing a Starbucks there, okay? We don't need that. We talked a lot about her art, from her Day of the Dead pet paintings that she started with. They're amazing. You can see them at robinart.com, to what she's doing now, she's painting chickens. And there's some pretty goddamn cool chickens too. You should check them out. We had a lot of fun. We caught up. We told stories about us. We told stories about art. And she told stories about Paonia. And she, like I said, she made it sound really cool. It was a great conversation, and I really hope you enjoy it. Let's check it out. All right. Tell everyone who you are.
I am Robin Arthur. I'm a painter in Colorado, but I'm from Texas. I mostly grew up in Texas, and I've somehow landed in this tiny little town in Colorado called Paonia.
Paonia. I was going to ask you how you pronounce that.
Yeah, well, I think I say it incorrectly. I say it, because I'm not from here, but it's Paonia. But I say Paonia because I like vowels, I guess. But, I like to make sure they all get attention, each vowel one at a time. But it's Paonia, and it's the history, I believe, and I may be saying it incorrectly, but it was originally spelled Paeonia, but the post office said it was too many vowels to be legal or something like that. So they dropped an E, and now it's just Paonia, but it means peony, the flower.
Oh, okay.
What it stands for. It's just one of those quirky American stories. And something interesting about it is that it's like a big hippie epicenter of all rich kids who ride trains and jump off of them and pretend they're poor. And they go to this grave.
A lot of floppy hats there.
Lots of floppy hats, lots of dogs on ropes, busking on our one block, all of that. It's like it's a microcosm of a city of these kids. And they're doing a pilgrimage to a man named Terrence McKenna, who was maybe I don't know how to say this. He did a lot of research on mushrooms, I don't know, magic mushrooms.
The psilocybin.
Psilocybin and LSD and stuff like that. And he was born and raised here and is buried here. So we have this like hippie contingent in this town that's kind of funny to me, which makes it seem very Portlandia, that it's a coal mining town and a farm and ranch area. But then because of that mushroom guy, there's this big, and the organic agricultural movement and all that, there's this kind of, it's like half pure hippies and half, coal miners and ranchers. And so it makes for an interesting mix of people. And it's really a really creative community. So I'm glad I'm here. Cool. But I live way up.
Everyone coexists pretty well there?
Yeah, everybody coexists. I live out in the country on a mesa above the town. So I kind of feel almost like I'm watching a football game or something. And I can kind of look down into the valley and imagine all the hippies and cowboys, like on a chessboard, and I just, stay out of the fray. But it's a really interesting, cool little town for sure. So that's where I am now, is Paonia, Colorado.
Is there a lot of weed there?
So much weed. I think we're allowed, it's either 12 or 24 plants we can just grow in Colorado in your yard. And we have 3 dispensaries. And the town is like 1,500 people.
I was going to say it's a lot of dispensaries for just such a small town. Well,
I don't even know why the dispensaries are here because everybody grows weed at certain times of the year. I don't live in town anymore, but you can just smell it all over town like a cloud. And
Right.
I don't smoke weed, but it's just not my style. But I mean, I practice sometimes and I try, but I just don't. I'm not into it. But people give it to me, so I have jars of it, in my pantry and stuff. And I don't even know. Like, it's a very Colorado problem to have, but it just sits there in my pantry. Maybe I'll feed
Do
it.
they just give it to you to give it to you, or is it like a bartering thing? Like,
No, just to be like, maybe if you show up to somebody's house for dinner with a bottle of wine, here it
okay.
might be like a bag of weed, or try this new strain of weed that I made, or what. I don't even know the terminology for it, but so I have it, and it's. I mean, I'm looking at my pantry over there. There's a big mason jar full of weed, but that's just Colorado. It's very different from Texas. You
Right.
know, nobody has a fear of prison. Connected to weed, and unless they're selling it, I guess, outside of a dispensary. But yeah, it's a super. There's a strain of weed called Paonia Purple
Yeah.
that is famous, I guess. So a lot of people come here because of that. I think we've had a couple of rainbow gatherings, where all the hippies like hippie together. They do that like out in the country. We had a couple of those here. Yeah. So as an artist from Texas, I kind of feel like I kind of ride the line a little bit between creative and uh, definitely not conservative, but a creative and Texan, and
Yeah.
I can kind of, and artists are usually pretty good at blending in with different types of people anyway.
Yeah.
So I think being from Texas is probably a little bit of a security blanket for me here. But yeah, to answer your question in a really long-winded way, so much weed. Like in Paonia, it's a lot. Yeah. And I'm just not into it though. It's just not my thing.
Yeah. Well, you and I were talking earlier before we started recording how we met. You and I met in Denton, Texas, at a telemarketing firm
Yep.
that we both worked at. And were you a painter then?
Gosh, I want to, Bernie, I have no idea what I was doing then. I have done so much. So would that have been the mid-90s?
We met in 93. You and I met in 93.
Okay, so my daughter was 4, which means I lived in that apartment. I don't think I was being an artist. I may have been, I used to get old furniture kind of off the street or at yard sales and repaint it and sell it, like paint it all cool and crazy, and with a lot of the similar designs that I use now. I may have been doing that then. Do you remember me being an artist back then?
I don't remember you being an artist. I remember
Okay.
a lot of things about things that we did together. Like I remember
Yeah.
the first time you invited me over your house and we watched TV and ate cereal.
Good times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good times. uh, I remember going to shows together. Yeah.
Yeah. So many
And
rock shows.
yeah,
Yeah.
so when you started painting or when you started showing your art on social media, like I didn't know if it was just something because of social media, you had always done it.
Oh, yeah. So I do have an art degree from the University of North Texas, and I had started in 1988 as an art major, actually. But then I had to leave school because I had a child, and I couldn't work, school, and mom. I couldn't do all three. I couldn't. I don't know. That's too much. So I stopped school for a while, but I did have an intention of being an artist. I don't know what happened in the 90s. I did, like painting the furniture and all that. I was so tired and busy and working. And Bernie, I have had 56 jobs that I can remember. Okay. So I was busy, and I was, cooking dinner every night, bathing my daughter, feeding her, tucking her in, reading stories, trying to hang out and be a normal 20 something with you guys and you and Mike and everybody. I don't know. I can't remember if I was arting back then or not. But I got my degree in 2000. So in 1998, I said, I'm just going to take student loans. I'm going to quit working. I'm going to finish this GED degree. I'm going to get it done. And I chose art.
Okay.
And that is when then I became the program coordinator for the Greater Denton Arts Council a few years later.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started doing graphic design projects for people around Denton, just marketing pieces, postcards, advertising, doing a lot of sales. But I didn't start seriously painting until about 2013, 2012. So
okay.
It's still a lot.
Well, that's about the time I started seeing you really promote your paintings.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What would you call that style that you were doing then?
Well, back then, so when I first started painting, I was living in LaGrange, Texas, which, the ZZ Top song, that song is based in reality. And that's a really cool little town in Texas. And I was living there in trying to find a job, which was, I've always
to add to your list
right.
of jobs.
And all I have ever done is try to find a job. I've been working since as long as I can remember, just doing whatever I could to get by. And I was in LaGrange trying to find a job again. And I was applying for jobs all over Texas at universities because I had left a job at a university as being an event planner and marketing specialist, which I totally lied to get that job. Do you remember Matt Bethay? Did you ever know him? He was my boss. He was in some heavy metal band in Denton.
The name sounds really familiar, but
yeah, super nice guy. But he hired me because he remembered me from a telemarketing job in like 91.
Telemarketing was all the rave in the early 90s.
I know.
I think I had like 3 telemarketing jobs.
Yeah, same. I worked at Mark. Did you ever work there? Market research. And they would give you a coffee mug and an ashtray. They at least for me, like on your first day, and you could sit there and smoke cigarettes and drink coffee. That was so weird, but yeah. So I lost the UNT job because I moved, and I was trying to get back to your question. I was trying to get another similar job, and my cousin Cher in LaGrange said, "Can't you draw?" And I said, "Well, yeah, And she's like, "Why don't you paint? Why don't you try to sell your art for a job?" And I just said, "Oh, yeah, right. That's the dumbest. That's impossible." And it is impossible. I wouldn't advise it, but it really is. It's really hard. It's not a job for the weak. And she said the Dia de los Muertos holiday is super trendy right now, and they're selling like skull everything at Target, and it's a big holiday down in Texas, and a Mexican holiday, real big in Texas. And she said, "Why don't you paint dogs in that style? People love their dogs, and they love Dia de los Muertos. So just paint which means Day of the Dead in English. Paint Day of the Dead dogs, and people will buy them." And they did, and that's it. People were like, "Can you paint my Chihuahua like this? Can you paint my Bulldog like this? Can you paint my Pit Bull? Can you paint my cat?" And that's how I started the business. Just thank you, Cher. I owe her a free painting. Yeah, I really do. And it's in my mind always. Paint something for Cher, to thank her for kind of getting me going down this path.
Yeah. And so it did really well. Those paintings did really well.
Yeah, they did well in San Antonio. I think I've done painted about 500 dogs, cats, mostly dogs, then cats, some farm animals and wildlife, even some reptiles, fish, dragon. Yeah. And all kinds of animals. I probably painted about 20 people in that style, which are really hard. It's really hard for me to paint people. I get nervous because it's, a Labrador Retriever. There's some wiggle room to make some mistakes, but with a human being, if you just get a tiny angle of the lift of their eye incorrect, it might look like their sister instead of them or whatever, So you got to get it right. And then when I moved to Colorado in 2016 or 15, whenever I moved here, there wasn't the market for the Day of the Dead stuff. The popularity of that holiday just the Mexican wave hasn't really
made its way to
reached Colorado.
Paonia.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. I mean, it's any day now, but it's not here quite yet. So that's when I switched.
It'll be there with tacos.
Yeah. Well, I'll know when tacos are no longer $12 that the Mexican wave has hit. But right now, they're still like a delicacy. It's like sushi. You can get a sushi roll or a taco, but, for the same price. But yeah, so I had to switch from my Day of the Dead stuff, which I was, who cares? Like, I'm very pliable when it comes to, like I said, I've had 56 jobs. So I'm like, okay. And I have confidence in my art and my talent that I can just switch, and paint something else. So then I started painting abstracts. And I think I probably already sold about 100 of those. And then when I moved out into the country where I live currently in like 2020, I guess, 2021, I started painting landscapes and doing pretty well with those too. And and chickens. I just thought everybody loves chickens, right?
Is that behind you? Is that one of yours?
Oh yeah, those. I'm still working on that one, but I just sold it to one of the little guy movers, one of the owners.
Oh, really?
Did you ever know Chris Hawley?
No.
It was Chris, Marcus, and Chad. Super cool guys, old friends. And Chris just bought yesterday that painting.
Oh, right on. I used them when I moved from Frisco to Denton. I use little guy movers.
Yeah, I've used them too. My parents always try to. We all, we try to represent Denton. But they have franchises all over, college towns everywhere. Not everywhere, but I want to say maybe 30 or something franchises now. But yeah, so I just sold that chicken. I started painting chickens about 3 years ago, and it was the same thing. It was kind of, you got to flow with art. I mean, the only artists who can afford to just paint the same thing over and over again and everybody loves it are people who, in my opinion, have somebody else paying their bills. A husband, a wife, a grandma, a trust fund, random rich person that they're friends with or whatever. But if you're like me and you don't have a husband, a wife, a trust fund, grandparent, or a rich friend, you have to go with the flow and change what you do. And so I don't know what got me on chickens. I really can't even remember now. But once I realized that people loved chickens and would buy a chicken painting, even a big one like that one. Yeah. I just want to paint chickens all the time because A, they're fun to paint. They're super fun to paint, and B, people like them. I even have one that's wrapped around a gondola in Telluride right now, right in the main. It's called Mountain Village. It's Telluride's the old town, and then above Telluride, if you ride this gondola up the hill,
it's a free gondola.
Yeah,
I've been on that gondola.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
There's like a brand new Disney town that's all new construction. It's brand new. It's where all the hotels and restaurants and all that are. They have dining gondolas that are heated that have been retired, and they're just in this little circle in the town center up there. And one of my roosters that I named Josie Wells, he's wrapped all around the gondola, which is like super cool honor for me to know that people and families and dogs and kids are all sitting inside my chickens having dinner in their ski outfits or whatever. And the original of that painting is hanging in a house in Bermuda, of all places. So yeah, my chickens are far and wide.
Right on. Right
Yeah,
on. Man.
they're everywhere, which is cool. I'm proud
So,
of them.
so being in Paonia, did I say it right?
Good.
So
Yes.
you're doing landscapes, you're doing chickens. Like, is everyone there? It seems like it's like everyone there is a creative.
Oh, yeah. Pretty much everybody I know is a creative. Almost everybody I know is a
Is it a
creative.
very encouraging community?
Yeah, it's very yeah, I mean it's very creative. It's surprisingly creative, which is why I moved here. There's an artist residency here called Elsewhere,
Uh-huh.
and it's in this big old house that's been converted into an artist residency. And it caught my eye because the name of the town is so magical sounding, Paonia, it sounds so pretty. And then there's an artist residency called Elsewhere, and it just sounds so mythical and magical around here. And then when I got here, it really is kind of like that kind of town. But it seems like everybody is an artist. Everybody, they're either creating visual art, or they're creating their art is their food, or their farm, or their orchard, or their vineyard. Everybody's creative in their own way, and it's super supportive of all these people. None of us are in jobs that are super lucrative,
Yeah.
but we're all passionate about what we do. And I have some friends here who they're young. They're just working every day at their winery. It's brand new and it's winning awards all over the place, United States, and they're just kicking butt. And everybody, even if we can't afford to support them monetarily all the time, there's because we're artists and we can't buy fine wine every day, but we can support them emotionally, and we can support them with positivity, and spreading the word. So it's a very welcoming community, and supportive of the arts in that way, for sure.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Is it kind of like Marfa?
Yes, it is like Marfa. Except for Marfa has all this LA and New York money.
Yeah.
And Paonia has none of that. So, but I went to Marfa last year with my friend Sean Guerrero, who's a sculptor here in Colorado. And we share, it's his space, but I show my art there in this big warehouse gallery living space that he has. And we did a road trip to Texas and went to Marfa because he wanted to see it. I personally wasn't that interested in it, but I just I've never had any interest in Marfa, but he did. So we went, and Marfa's cool. It's just the divide between the has and the have-nots seems bigger there. Maybe because the town is more poor from the start than Paonia is. And so you'll see Los Angeles looking rock and roll people, all just hair and the floppy hats and boas and running around in their what do you call this onesie jumpers or whatever that you'd see a pilot wearing, jumpsuit.
Yeah, jumpsuit.
But with like a super expensive brass zipper up the front and aviators, and then like tall stiletto boots and stuff. And then that'll be right next to like a migrant family, or like some random chihuahua or chicken running across the street, So Marfa has a bigger divide, I think. It's worth a trip to go if you have a lot of time to drive. Have you been there?
I've never been there.
There's no people from Texas aren't as excited about Marfa as people from everywhere else in the world, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
But it does have the Chinati Foundation and a lot of New York money. So, and a couple of big hotels. But other than that, it's just like Paonia.
Okay.
And it has a little public radio station like we do, with local DJs and all that cute stuff. So they're like sister cities, I think, in weirdness, for sure. Yeah. I mean, Marv is cool. It's cool. It's a very, the light is really beautiful. I'd like to, paint the scenery.
Yeah.
There's something electric about the light out there in the desert. Um, but I probably won't go back.
Right on.
Yeah. There's only so much you can see, I don't know. I'd go back if I had a helicopter or a way to get there much faster.
Than a road trip.
Yeah, it's like 4 hours from Fredericksburg and 4 hours from El Paso. It's just there's nothing out there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've never been. I've heard people talk about it, but never been.
Yeah.
So
Oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say as an independent artist, are there times when you're painting your chickens and they're just flying, like you can't, they're sold by the time you finish them? Are there times when you've got like 3 or 4 that haven't sold and you're like,
Yeah.
start worrying?
I never start worrying because I can always just paint more. I typically only paint on commission. So for me to it's rare that I just paint for fun, and in hopes that someone will buy the painting. I like to be paid first before I do a painting, because otherwise I'll get into my head, like, why am I even doing this? I haven't even gotten paid, because I feel like I'm doing a service without, it's like I'm mowing the lawn for someone without even knowing if they're going to pay me. Why would you do that? Right.
Yeah.
And it's
just like anything else,
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, doing a painting without knowing whether I'm going to get paid, I only do that a few times a year. And that's when I just want to paint something that I want to paint. Having said that, I do have a lot of abstracts lingering around, but those are kind of fun. They don't take very long and they're kind of just fun and free and no pressure. I can, drink some wine and play some Tool or whatever and just like blast it and do an abstract. But for the, this chicken painting back here that you mentioned that you can see, I think I've been working on it for 2 months, but I just had a feeling it was going to sell immediately because it's really good. And sometimes you just know that something's good. I have 3 other chicken paintings that you can't see over my other shoulder that I've had for 2 years, just sitting there. I finally brought them home from the gallery because I said, I'm starting to get embarrassed that people would remember, like, didn't I see that chicken 2 years ago? So, so I just brought them home. I'll sell them, but later,
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, I can see it from here, and it looks, just through the Zoom screen, I can see the detail. It's a really cool painting.
Oh, that thing! I have no idea how many hours I've worked on that.
I planned on asking you about it when you answered the call or when you came into the Zoom.
Yeah, I try to time them and then I forget to. I know I listened to one 18-hour audiobook way in the early stages of it. And I would say, and that was after I'd already drawn it and everything. So probably another 10 hours before the book even. So, and then probably multiply that by 5 or 6 times, just getting into it. And that's the thing that is hard with trying to sell art online, like I do mostly, is that people are seeing my art in the palm of their hand in their iPhone, and it looks like a cartoon. You can't see all the texture and the detail and the line work and all that. So that is definitely a drawback of living in this tiny town, is there's not enough foot traffic, on the artwork.
How long did it take you when you started painting for profit, painting for a living? How long did it take you to really, like, I had another artist friend of mine on here, and I said, how do you determine how much you charge? And she couldn't really, she goes, you just gotta add up like how much time and supplies, and it's really hard. Like, how long did it take you, like when you first started painting, what did your average painting sell for? Like the first one, did you sell like, I'm going to ask 100 and somebody paid it? You're like, oh, yeah, I should ask 200.
Exactly. That's actually what happened. So I was just flying blind. I had no idea what to do. I typically, it may be a fault. All painters sell their art differently and decide on their prices differently. But I just don't have the time or care to try to calculate the supply cost versus the square inches versus the this versus the that, depreciation and all this terminology. In my mind, and this may come from the telemarketing background, I'm more that it's always haunting me, right? But I'm always kind of more of the salesy, like, okay, this guy looks like he could pay this much, but he's in this town, so maybe not. Or this lady, it's just like a telemarketing call. Right. You're just I don't always do that. I mean, I have set prices on my website and all that, but I almost kind of like the game in a way of sales. That's probably that damn telemarketing, because and I have a problem. It's a flaw, I think, of randomly just lowering my prices by 80% just to see if anybody's paying attention to my website or my social media. I'll be like, flash sale, 90% off or whatever. I mean, how else am I going to know? I mean, right. You can see the statistics, but emotionally, how am I going to know whether people even like something or not? And if I do a couple of those flash sales and nobody buys anything, I am 100% sure that people hate it. And so I just change gears. You got to flow and not be too, at least for me, not be too attached to a price system. Now, having said that, I don't know what my prices on my website are right now for my pet portraits, but I remember in LaGrange, the first one I did was $89 for a 12 by 12 inch portrait, which probably took me 20 hours or something. And I just didn't know what people would pay. And I think now those are like $1,000 or something. And I can, go home if I at that size. It probably should be more since I've been doing it so long. But I want to still have an accessible price point for real people, which that is actually inaccessible for a lot of people. But it's I don't want to. I'm not a charity. I can't give it away. I'm doing the work.
Yeah.
But so my price is
custom painting.
Oh, it's totally custom. And sometimes, the emails and all the time that gets with the customer and back and forth on photos and negotiating price or the size or just kind of helping them figure out which picture they want to use and all that is time.
Yeah.
That I need to mentally roll into the cost of the painting. So, I treat it more like a product, I guess, in a way. I am going to do more of these chickens, though, just because, like I said, that they're more marketable. People like them. People love chickens. They represent things in all cultures all over the world. So they're very meaningful to people. They're food. They're funny. They're dinosaurs.
Yeah.
They're just interesting. So I will do more of those kind of on the fly and experiment with, raising my prices and that sort of thing and seeing what the market will bear for my chickens. But, and a lot of that depends on not only on the economy, but on, where I'm marketing, how I'm presenting them. It's just art is a business, it's a business. And I can talk about it for hours. I really can.
Yeah. I bet you could.
Yeah.
Before I forget to ask you, what is your website and social media and all that?
So my webpage is robinart.com, and that's ROBINART.com. Social media, my Instagram is I used to be Robini Art, which was ROBINIART. But I recently purchased the domain Robin Art. So I'm migrating. So my Instagram is still Robini Art, which is Instagram.com/ROBINIART.com. And then I have another Instagram that's, I try to make more geared towards my landscapes and abstracts. And that handle is Instagram. And then it's the @ ROBINARTHURART. So that one's Robin Arthur Art. And the same goes with Facebook, Robini Art and Robin Arthur Art. But the main website is just robinart.com.
And can they get everything? Can they get to your Instagram, your Facebook, and all that from robinart.com?
Yep. Yeah. And they can even if they put in robiniart.com, it's forwarded over there. So hopefully I can get that all that migration done. I've been trying to buy robinart.com for 10 years and I finally got it. So I'm super pumped about that. But it was expensive too, but I got it. And what else is there? What's another way they can reach me? Oh, my Etsy store is robiniart.etsy.com. And so that's robiniart.etsy.com. And in that store, I have reproductions of, tons of my paintings, as prints on paper, canvas, on pillowcases, cute little necklaces with some of my horses and things like that on them. So all the reproductions, the lower end gift type of items are at my Etsy store. And then you can commission a pet portrait, wildlife, chicken, whatever you want at robinart.com.
Right on. And you encourage that, right?
Oh my God, I encourage it so much. And I want to tell anybody who's listening, if you commission a pet portrait from me, it's not like you're just purchasing something on Amazon. You're going to get to know me. We talk on the phone, we email back and forth, we text, we go back and forth photos of your animal. I want to hear stories about your animal, whether it be a big horse or a tiny little lizard or your favorite golden retriever or whatever it may be. And a lot of my customers have become friends of mine and people I can laugh with and share memories with and things like that. So it's fun to get to know my customers and for them to get to know me and get to know their pets, and I always do a better portrait if I know a lot about the animal. So like Bernie, for instance, with your dog, I would probably paint it like lolling on its back or something.
Just from seeing her here.
Right. Yeah, I would just picture her like, lolling on her back and relaxing. She looks very relaxed. But, how's she doing over there?
She's passed out right now.
See? She's lolling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love taking commissions and all that. And I'd love for people to reach out to me with any questions they have.
Well, dude, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, it's fun.
I know the last time I saw you was about 10 years ago. We had breakfast in San Antonio. We had breakfast tacos.
Yeah, those were the last good breakfast tacos I've had.
Which they don't know anything about breakfast taco. You say breakfast taco up here, and they look at you like you're crazy.
And then you just like punch them in the throat.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know. I remember that place. It was an old Whataburger. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were there with the band and came and sat with Henry and me, and you and Henry were like brothers.
Within minutes.
I know. Minutes. I have jealousy of that sometimes.
Within minutes, it's like, dude, we've known each other all our lives.
Y'all were the same guy. That was hilarious. You really were. It was funny. Yeah, he moved to Colorado.
Yeah, you told me.
Did I tell you that? Yeah, so he's here now. This is wild. But yeah, that was fun. Well, let me know how this goes. I'll let you get going.
I have one more question.
Oh, sure.
This podcast, it's called Is Breakfast Included? See?
Yes.
And if we were having breakfast, what would you have?
Oh man. Well, there would be that. First of all, there'd be that coffee they have in San Antonio at the Mexican restaurants. I don't know what they put in it, but it's better than the restaurants here.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, what brand that coffee is, or if there's cinnamon. It's not cinnamon, but we'd be having that kind of coffee. I don't want to say breakfast burritos, but I'm gonna say breakfast burritos. And mine is it's gonna be on those thick, white, fluffy flour tortilla that the flour sort of feels like sand on your fingers. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
My mouth is watering, and maybe some butter on there, and then eggs, jalapenos, maybe some sausage, definitely potatoes and cheese, and just a cup of that coffee. It's so good. Yeah, that'd be perfect. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we'll have to meet there someday.
Yeah.
At that same restaurant we went to before.
I loved it that day,
Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah. Is that what would you have? I'm going to turn the tables on you.
Oh, Well, if you listen, I did an episode where my partner, she interviewed me. I love pancakes.
Oh yeah,
Pancake, bacon, regular syrup. I'm not a maple syrup. I don't see the whole craze about
I
maple syrup.
know.
I just
Well,
I like Butterworth from the store, you know,
yeah, right.
but I
Walmart
like my
brand.
butter. Yeah. Yeah. But I like my butter melted. Um
Oh, I
and syrup
do.
and I recently quit drinking coffee, but I guess I would have coffee or orange juice. I've taken up orange juice.
Yeah, orange juice. Okay,
The
I'm down with
pancake.
that. I
I'm
haven't
a
had
pan.
a pancake in like a year.
Yeah, I love them.
It's too healthy here where I live.
If my
Colorado's
doctor let me have pancakes all day, I would eat pancakes all day. Uh,
funny. Yeah, you inspired me. I think about you all the time. You being so healthy. Yeah, you inspired me with your being healthy stories. Last time I saw you.
well, that was the last time. My health is gone, but
Yeah,
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
yeah. Well, good. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, it was good talking to you. It was good seeing you,
You too,
and
Barney.
we'll definitely keep in touch. I'll send you this as soon as it's ready.
All right. All
All
right.
right.
Thanks, man.
All right. Bye.
Bye. See ya.
All right, Robin Arthur. That was a lot of fun. It was fun for me. I hope it was fun for you. I learned a lot about Paonia, how to pronounce the name. You can check out her paintings at robinart.com, on Instagram, Robin Arthur Art, at Robin Arthur Art. Go check it out, man. Buy a painting or share it with somebody who appreciates art. Every independent artist, painter, musician, whatever, podcaster, deserves support. So let's give it. These big companies, man, they don't need your money. I don't know why I have to stress that. They don't need your money. Spend it on your friends, spend it on the indie artist. On that note, I want to thank everyone who visited our merch store, isbreakfast.bigcartel.com, and purchased a shirt. We really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, guys, I'm done. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next week.